What's up, everyone? Episode 33, Kicking It with Breezy and Don C. Danny B, how are you, man? What's going on?
What's up, brother? I'm doing well, man. Just chilling as always. Beginning of the week, so it's always, a struggle after the weekend, getting up, getting after it. I know it's not for you. You've been up early the last couple of weeks, which has been good, man. I've seen it. I know you were used to running late in the evening and you're changing it up, refreshing it, testing yourself in that heat. And I know that this North Carolina and South Carolina heat is no joke, even at 8 in the morning. I was out today. I would probably got to work in about 9:30, and I always start jump roping. Dude, I was drenched in sweat after like the third round of 40 seconds. Like, it was ridiculous. It's a real feel, I think, 105 here. So it's tough, but once you get out and once you get after it, it's a good setup for the day. So enjoying this Tuesday and ready for another beautiful show.
You're talking now to, if you're watching, if you're listening, you're listening to two Door Dashers. Danny's going to start his first DoorDash today. How excited are you to make some money?
I'm excited, man. I've been watching it through your lens, and you've been doing it. You've been successful with it. You've been putting in the hours, putting in the work. You said you've had really no bad experiences so far. So for me, it's a couple extra dollars. I know a couple other people we know. I think Casey has been doing it. My friend T's been doing it up near Wilmington, and they've all had positive stories about it. So, schedule your day. I get to work in the morning. I get to talk with you in the afternoon. And then what better to do in that little off time before dinner than add a little, stack to my balance. And why not? I just had to sell a couple shoes this week for those who I did not tell. Sold a couple shoes, added to the savings account, making those big boy moves, trying to be a little more mature these days, add a little money for the future. So, if DoorDash can give me a little bit extra, I'll take it.
Exactly. Man, it's so easy. I mean, for anyone that hasn't done it or for anyone that's skeptical, really, I mean, you think about the easiest job out there, it's DoorDash. You literally get on the app, pick up an order, go to the place, get it, drive to the person's house, deliver. You don't even have to talk to anybody.
Obviously one of the biggest things in this day and age with jobs is the contactless delivery,
right? Not
interacting with people. And I mean,
so nice.
Tell our listeners and viewers, like, what is kind of the process like for you in terms of distancing yourself from people while you're DoorDashing?
Yeah. So, I mean, as soon as I leave my car, mask goes on, trying to be cognizant of, opening doors. Like, I try to use my shirt, things like that you were taught like as a kid. And now it's really real life. Walk in. Some places like Chipotle have a big rack where you literally just look for the name and you just pick it up and go. You don't have to ask anybody. Some places you could stay in the drive-through. Some places like Zaxby's, you can call ahead or call the number outside. They bring it out to you. So a lot of places are very accommodating. And then really whenever I deliver, unless the person's outside waiting for me, I put it on their doorstep or apartment complex, knock a couple times, ring a doorbell, and I walk away. And it's that easy. So if you're looking to make some extra money and you don't want to go and sign up to a 9-to-5 job, DoorDash is definitely the way to go. And if you are watching or if you're listening, just to let you in on a little more info, I'm wearing a dress shirt and tie right now. The reason being is because I just had one of my presentations for an internship I'm doing with the USL2 team, the Charlotte Eagles. So not trying to get a step on Danny by any means. He's got a T-shirt and a hat on. I've got a tie on. We are the same.
Yes, sir. No, I mean, obviously, I know your internship has been ending. And I think your class has been ending too. So now's even more time. Now you're gonna be DoorDashing even more, adding those checks up even more. So, we're doing the damn thing. You know that.
That's the plan. All right, so let's dive right in. This week is huge. As we all know, the NBA has been going through their scrimmages, but officially, it is back. The NBA comes back on Thursday night on TNT. Oh, that sounds so great to hear. Sorry for yelling. Sorry for getting so excited, but wow. NBA on TNT, 6:30 Eastern, Jazz and Pelicans, and then the nightcap at 9, Clippers, Lakers. And I think for the first time ever, we're going to get LA basketball Eastern time to where it's like a normal time to watch. We're always so used to Golden State playing at 10:30, LA playing at 10:30, maybe 11 o'clock, but now it's like it's perfect. So how excited are you from a scale of 1 to the Bucks winning the championship, which would be 15 for me?
I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10 for me, I think I'm at about a 27 right now because – and you see, for those who are watching, I'm wearing my Lakers hat right now because It's opening week, man. I mean, how excited is this? Is one of those days that during the year for all my favorite sports, I mean, it's unbelievable. There's something special about opening day. And even though, there's going to be no fans in the crowd, there's going to be socially distanced benches. I'm so, so excited. And these scrimmages have been, not the intensity we expect from playoff basketball, but dudes have been playing. I mean, we've seen obviously the surging skills of Bol. I mean, talk about a guy who's been killing it in these scrimmages. Like, that makes Denver even more of a problem. And, everybody who knows me, who knows my basketball love, knows I'm a big Michael Porter Jr. fan. And if he can get healthy and really I mean, that's a team for the next couple of years who's going to be a problem in that Western Conference, especially if LeBron's only got a couple years left because they're deep and they're young. So that's a team who's going to cause problems. But, man, I'm crazy excited. The fact that they're starting Jazz Pelicans, I mean, obviously, I don't know what's the situation with Zion right now, so that game might have a little less hype behind it if the only guy I'm really looking forward to seeing is Donovan Mitchell, who's obviously a stud, but, everybody knows how I feel about him, seeing as I'm a big Ben Simmons guy. But, I mean, Lakers-Clippers opening night. I mean, obviously, with everything that's going on with Lou Williams, I think Montrez is not there right now, is he? I think he's back home. So that game, and then AD's got that eye injury he picked up in the last scrimmage, so he might be sitting out on Thursday as well. So we may see a little bit more bench work from the Lakers and Clippers. And obviously the Lakers are so far ahead right now that, they don't need necessarily to give 1,000% in every game because, the one seed's locked up if they win about 2 games. But I'm excited, man. I'm excited to see what the intensity's like inside a fanless arena, So I'm looking forward to it. Very excited to see these games. And I know Friday's a big day as well. I know there's a ton of games. The Bucks play on Friday, so it's going to be a big weekend. I know when we come back for our next episode, we're going to have a lot to talk about.
You are right. The Bucks do play Friday against the Celtics, and you're wearing a Lakers hat, and I didn't want to one-up you, so I just stayed in my attire because next episode, after we get to see the reigning MVP and eventual back-to-back MVP take the court, I will be having different attire, just, to let you know. But, yeah, I mean, you literally said everything that I've been thinking about the last few weeks, last few months, really. It's funny that the Pelicans are going to be the first game on, and I go back to opening night in 2019, it was Pelicans Raptors, and Zion didn't play. And that may be a case where in 2 anticipated openers, we may not even see him take the court. So that's one thing to think about. The Jazz relationship on and off the court, I think there's going to be a documentary on it one day because there was already a piece on the arena from TNT that Kerry Champion covered with Rudy and Donovan. And it's weird, man. I mean, it just makes you kind of, you get goosebumps thinking about what that relationship must be like right now. Is it salvageable? Has it been salvaged? Is it going to affect them long-term? Are they going to have to pick one or the other? So a lot of things are swirling, and, I'm super excited just to see Giannis. I mean, that's one thing that hasn't changed. He's still Giannis. Nothing has changed. If anything, he got better over the quarantine. And I don't want to say that coming as a big Bucks fan, a big Giannis fan, but really I've been really, really looking at the Bucks in depth every scrimmage. And I'm no basketball wizard, but I tend to know the game fairly well. Some of these plays he's making, Danny, I mean, when it comes to constant driving in and drawing those 3 or 4 guys, I think it now more than ever, seeing it in this setting where it's really like you're focused on that one thing opposed to a lot of other external factors. He's got Kyle Korver, Wesley Matthews, George Hill, Ersan, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton. I mean, I need to use my toes as well to count all the guys that he has that are capable of shooting the basketball. And that's why the Bucks are number 1 in the East. Who knows what's going to happen with these next few games going into the playoffs. But I want to talk about Lou Williams because that, for some reason, has become the topic of discussion. Lou Will left the bubble, as you all probably already know, to attend what was apparently, I heard reports earlier that it was his grandfather's funeral, and then it's shifted to his best friend's grandfather in Georgia, which, okay, that's a personal decision. The guy is a grown man. He can do what he wants. But now he's getting slandered by Kendrick Perkins out of everyone. What do you think about it? Whose side are you on? Are you on Lou Will's side or Perk's side, calling him less mature than Zion Williamson?
Yeah, I mean, I think that was a bit of a cheap shot, if we're being honest. I mean, if you've heard anything from Kendrick, you know how big of a fan he is of Zion. So any chance he can take to kind of celebrate Zion being a young up and coming superstar, it's similar to, us taking the opportunity to, show more love to Giannis, show more love to LeBron. You know, like these guys. I mean, one guy who I want to show a little bit of love to, but we'll get into it later, is my guy Ben Simmons. I mean, talk about a guy. He's starting to unleash that jumper. I'm telling you, people
Wow,
are
it's
seeing it.
how many seasons has he played? How long has he played
A
competitive
couple,
basketball?
and he was rookie of the year in one of them without a jump shot, and he's clearly one of the most diverse point guards in the league. Diverse. I'm not saying best,
He
but
wasn't a
diverse
rookie.
point guards in the league. He
wasn't a rookie.
You, Donovan Mitchell, can both shush. He was a rookie. It was his first season playing. He was a rookie. In my eyes, that's a rookie. If I was a redshirt freshman tennis player, which I was a rookie at Wingate. I was eligible for freshman of the year, and I already had half the season under my belt playing against guys in Division I. So you could say I wasn't a rookie. So to everybody who I didn't, who got freshman of the year in the Woospies, and I ended up getting that, I apologize because I'm like Ben Simmons in this. I wasn't really a rookie. But anyway, no, Lou Will, granted, if he left for a funeral, you can't criticize him for that. I mean, you can't criticize any of these guys who are leaving for, their family or their own medical conditions, for funerals, for babies. I mean, come on, guys. Life is bigger than basketball. We all know this. But when it comes out, it was something else, and then he's taking pictures with rappers, and then Magic City, and he's got his own wing flavor named after him at Magic City. I mean, this is just not looking good, right? I mean, a lot of the analysts now have been talking about their team chemistry. And that's something, you just alluded to with the Jazz, right? Obviously, that's a little bit more serious. But if the Clippers feel, is Lou Will really in this right now? Like, is he really focused on championships? Kawhi in that last scrimmage looked horrible. It's like, man, did these guys and granted, I mean, I know you just talked about Giannis looking great in the scrimmages and that, meaning something in the development of his game. So I'm not giving 100% into that or 100% into Kawhi. We know what they are. We know what they are, especially come playoff time. I mean, these guys are freaks. They're the best in the league. But you have to think about that. You have to think about, Matisse Thybulle. You've seen his YouTube vlogs, right? The Sixers are clearly close. I mean, they're all joking around. They're together. Same with the Lakers. If you've seen JaVale McGee's, they're clearly close. They're all
very, very well put together vlogs too.
Very, very. I mean, those guys they're going to make money moving forward during this bubble just from that. I mean, they both are nearly at 1 million subscribers already. It's crazy what they're doing, but that's going to be such a big deal because, what JaVale was talking about in his last vlog was it feels like AAU. It feels like college. They're in the dorm, scheduled meals. We know from being in college, like having a close friend group that you can rely on is huge. And if you're forced to be around guys that there's a little bit of a strange thing, can you trust them? Can you trust Lou Will that he's 100% focused? We don't know about Montrezl Harrell when he'll be back. These are things that you got to figure out because obviously this is a very strange time for the NBA, but those things are so important. That chemistry is going to be huge, even bigger than it normally is. So in terms of going back to your question, obviously I went on a tangent there, but going back to your question, Lou Will versus Kendrick, I'm not really on either of their side, to be honest. I'm on the side of Lou Will. If you want to play, get back to playing. I mean, let's not be silly like that. You don't think other guys want to go hit the strip club and find some chicks and let off some steam? I'm sure they do. But one thing JaVale says in his vlog, every single vlog, is we're here to win a championship. That's it. And if that's, what Lou Will's thinking, great, get back to playing. If it's not, that's a problem the Clippers are going to have to deal with internally. But I'm not really with Kendrick attaching Zion in this situation. Don't bring Zion into this. People are going to start hating Zion just because people are throwing him in. He's in commercials and he's the man, right? Lou Will, come on. If it was the funeral, hey, great, do what's best for you. If you're going to the strip club hanging with rappers, hey, let's save that for the offseason. Let's try and focus on a championship first. But Perk is crazy. He's going to say whatever it takes. But one thing, I also want to get your opinion on this, after you speak your piece on this. Lou Will did attack Kendrick pretty heavily as an analyst. When he comes out and says, you're saying all this stuff, when you see me in person, you're talking about it's all TV and personality, and it's for the fun, and it's for the views. That's a pretty serious accusation. If somebody said this about Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless, that's credibility gone. And then a guy in your shoes pursuing the career you're pursuing, that's not something you want to hear from a professional player. So obviously I want to get your take on this, but especially on that.
Sure. I was watching Undisputed this morning, and I think Shannon Sharp hit it on the head, as he usually does. I mean, he's one of the best in the industry. He pretty much said, I'm never going to criticize a guy off the court because we're all grown men. We are. I mean, even though I'm 20 years old and, Lou Will's in his 30s, we're all men. So we have to look at each other like that. You can't look at someone with a crown on their head just because they, play a sport professionally. You can't. I mean, even if you work in the industry, you've got to look at someone as a man and realize he made his decision. But my thing is like, all right, you make that decision, just own up to it. That's all I ask. I'm not going to go after you. There's no need to get the clout on Twitter. I mean, really, what does that do for you? It may give you some credibility from, fans that have no idea really what they're talking about. As long as you're doing your job, as long as you're not attacking someone off the court for something that is none of our business, really. It's really not. I think that's part of the problem when it comes to social media nowadays. Fans are it's so easily accessible to see what other guys are doing. I would say behind closed doors, but that's a term that's, just put out there nowadays that doesn't even have any validation. There's no behind closed doors. Everybody's documenting everything. So again, to just close off, yeah, as long as you're not criticizing someone off the court, not based on their performance, like you said, really, there's no real side to take in this, honestly.
No, and I agree with what you said, especially when you talk about attacking somebody's personal character by saying, attacking their maturity.
Right.
That was something
to say
that, for
he's
example,
immature. No, I mean
that's just something, for example, that people talked about with Cam when he would, go into the post press conferences dressed a certain way or the towel over his head. It's like when you start assuming that's your character and how much you want it, like, and what I was saying is, Lou will get back to basketball. I just meant, like you said, own up to it. Say what you did might have been a little silly if it was, if you think it was, but don't then come back and be like, oh, Kendrick, you're just doing this for TV. Like you said, own up to it. Kendrick, own up to you shouldn't have compared his maturity to what's on 20 years old. I mean, you don't need to compare that. Don't attack somebody's personal character. But at the end of the day, Kendrick's got to do his job, and part of his job in the situation he's in is get viewers, and that's what he tries to do. I mean, that is what he tries to do. Him, Paul Pierce, Charles Barkley, these are guys who just talk sometimes. They say the craziest thing, and we know that analysis and really looking at this stuff doesn't always go into the things that they're saying. I mean, let's be honest here. But, we can all have our opinions. But like you said, what they do off the court, what they do in the bubble outside, unless it's on one of these guys' vlogs, we don't need to know. We need to know what they do on the court.
Really.
You criticize what they do. If a guy comes back and he was shooting 48%, now he's shooting 36, can you speculate, that maybe he wasn't working on his three as much, in the offseason? Sure. But you can't speculate what he was doing when he was distracted from – that's none of our business, like you said. You're spot on in saying that. It's not the media's job to report that stuff. So, yeah, no, I agree with you. But it is going to be interesting to see that stuff moving forward because I think that team dynamic is, and the media dynamic as well. I mean, you're going to hear the media coming out of the woodworks as well because they haven't had much to talk about for the last couple months. So they're going to be taking every chance they can for a headline.
True. Staying on the topic of NBA, incorporating some kicks talk like we always do, PJ Tucker brought 60 pairs of shoes. I mean, I'm looking at my room right now. I don't think I could fit 60 pairs of shoes, just how he's got it, especially in a hotel room. So I broke it down. Obviously, we're not going to sit here. If we did and go through 60 pairs of shoes, we may be here for a solid 2 hours. So we're not going to do that. But I broke it down this morning. 3 sets of 20 shoes, 3 silhouettes you would bring, 1 silhouette for 20 shoes. Go.
I mean, that's tough. When you think about 3 sets of 20, you got to think of silhouettes that have a lot of varied colorways. You got to think of a certain silhouette that's going to be comfortable because a lot of what you're doing is not playing. And I'm not going to bring into account the actual performance shoes because I think, that's obviously something different. With PJ, he does bring a ton of different shoes to play in as well. But I'm thinking just shoes to have, right? So for me, number 1 is for sure Air Force One. I mean, for me, I think Air Force One has some of the most variety you can possibly have in any silhouette. I mean, from materials to colorways to player exclusives to everything. So I got to pick Air Force One would definitely be one. I think I'd have to go with Jordan 1s. As much as they're not the most comfortable shoes to wear all the time, they're not a shoe that you want to wear for 6-7 hours at a time. They are a shoe that are incredibly stylish. They go with so much. I think the Jays, Jordan 1s especially, have to go with them. The third one would be a bit tougher. I mean, you got to think of a shoe that's going to be comfortable because I think Air Force One is another shoe that, it is comfortable, but not for a long time. And for me, the shoe that I always lean on for comfort to wear for a long time is Air Maxes. So you just have to pick a silhouette. For me, my favorite silhouette of Air Maxes is the Air Max 1. I truly do think the little bubble in the back, I think it's just the cleanest one. I think the 95s for me are a little bulky. I think the 97s have been limited on great colorways. They certainly have a lot. The great colorways, I would lean away from it. 90s, they're kind of high heels for me, and I'm tall enough. I got, dangly legs enough. So for me, it's going to be Air Max 1. So Air Max 1, Air Force 1, Air Jordan 1. Keep it simple. All the ones.
Easy. I like it. I don't want to steal from you, but Air Max 1 is my first choice. It sticks out.
For sure.
Can't go wrong. Too many colorways. Can't mess up. Second, I would say Yeezys. Yeezy 350 Boosts because
like
comfortable. They look good. You can get enough variety color-wise to make them just, seemingly all look professional in a way. Third one, I'm struggling. Very, very much so. To be honest, I'm thinking of, okay, I've got my Air Maxes, got my Yeezy, so I've got the comfort side pretty much handled. To go more fashion, I would say Jordan 4s, and I would say bring some, if I could, Cactus Jack 4s, What the 4s, Bread 4s. I mean, there's so many 4s that I love. I love the way they look. I really want to get my hands on a pair just to have and just to wear, to be able to probably wear with a suit maybe, or just wear them casually. But I would say Air Max 1, Yeezy 350s, and then close it off. Wow, my mind just went blank. What did I just say?
Jordan 4.
Jordan 4. Wow. Okay.
Yes.
Air Max 1, Yeezy 350s, Jordan 4s. Sorry about that.
Okay, there's so many shoes to think of. I mean, when you get lost in the colorways. When you were saying Jordan 4, I was getting lost in the cool grays.
I got lost
the neons,
because
man, I was just going.
I thought of saying New Balance 574s.
I thought you were going to bring that up. I was thought it for sure.
I was close. That may be a tie with Jordan 4s, considering I don't own any 4s.
Yeah.
New Balance 574s may just find its way in there. So I'd say those are my three for sure.
I like that. Well, I have a question for you in terms of sneaker talk. When we talk about sneakers, I love that question. I mean, what a dream would it be to have 20 pairs of each of those silhouettes?
Right.
Maybe one day. Well, hey, I'm hoping one day we get our own Air Max 1. I'm waiting for the Breezy and Don C Air Max 1. You got to manifest these things happening.
We'll talk details later.
Yes, we will. My question, quick one before we move on. You see the amount of brands that are, evident in the NBA right now. I mean, obviously we're seeing the rise of Pumas and the New Balances and the Converse. And, you already have the signatures, guys with Jordan, Nike, Adidas. Even some guys rocking like Reebok and Li-Ning and, Anta and all these different shoes, right, having their own shoe. For me, I'm gonna answer my own question first before you, to give you some time to think. But
sure.
If there's one brand that you could choose that would, give you your basketball shoe if you're playing in the bubble, your casual shoe, your lifestyle shoe, like one brand that you could just have, that brand's gonna send you anything you want for your whole stay in the bubble. I'm going to answer first. And this is an answer that, recency bias is something that I try my best not to suffer from. But being a UFC fan, I mean, it's very hard not to suffer from recency bias when you see amazing fights. So my brain is turning towards that. But one shoe that stuck out to me the last couple of days is the shoe that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's wearing. And that's the Converse BB, the All-Star.
Yeah.
Man, that shoe is clean. I've looked up some of the colorways. The one that he was rocking in the practice picture from a couple of days ago with the black on the outside, white on the inside with the red 3D logo. Man, I saw those and fell in love. I'm like, those are so icy to, do your, court sprints and play on that, play on the court, actually performance shoe, but also a lifestyle shoe. And obviously we all know about, the high top Converse, low top Converse, Comme des Garçons Converse, Chinatown Market Converse. There's all these Converse shoes, and their basketball shoes are pretty solid. So for me, I would probably pick Converse right now, get away from the pack a little bit and, stand out a little bit to the Nikes and the Jordans of the world. But I think I'm going to pick up that pair that Shai was wearing. They drop on August 1st. I believe they're only about $110. So I was like, man, let me pick those up if I can, rock those when I'm playing pickup games, but also, out and about. But I want to hear from you. What's the one brand that you would pick to rock in the bubble?
Danny, talking shoes, we have a lot of similarities, but we also have a lot of differences. Fashion-wise, we're pretty different. And you asked me this question, and I was already thinking, of course Nike, of course Jordan, maybe Adidas. Not going to lie, man, I'd also pick Converse. Not even joking. This is one similarity we have where the versatility and the history, too. I mean, Converse, as you mentioned, your dad mentioned, too, back when Bird and Magic were it. Converse really, to me, they dropped the ball. They could have easily surpassed everyone when they had Bird and Magic in their primes, but they didn't. So now they're trying to come back in. Kelly Oubre, Shai Gilgeous. So I would say definitely those. And yeah, to wear off the court, a low top pair of Converses, high top pair, maybe some off-white Converse, like you mentioned, the Chinatowns, Comme des Garçons. I mean, yeah, Converse is, I think they're making their way back slowly but surely. Not going to ever come close, I think, ever to Nike or Adidas on the court, or Jordan, I should say. But yeah, awesome. Converse. How about that? Who would have thought that we'd be saying Converse for this kind of answer?
It's true. And honestly, I think when you think about that, you have to think about the versatility. Obviously, the easy answer would be Nike, right? Like Nike's got all the shoes.
Yeah, easy.
But Nike doesn't have a shoe that you could wear with some different stuff. Like you can't a high top Converse or a low top Converse, any of those things. But I do want to mention before we move on, when you mention Converse ambassadors, you cannot forget about Draymond Green, who just signed a multi-year deal. So, hey, granted,
you're right.
You're not competing with Shai and Kelly Oubre when it comes to swag. I mean, those dudes are in my All-NBA first team when it comes to tunnel fits, swag. Right. I mean, come on, man. The Tsunami King, Kelly Oubre, come on.
Yeah,
Young Shai, Rookie of the Year, Fashion Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's not rookie now, but, he is the Fashion Rookie of the Year. Always will be the young gun. But Draymond, come on, guys. Let's not forget. Put some respect on that man's name. He's with Converse too.
Okay. We'll keep that in mind. I like that though. I think I might have to get some just Converse shoes. I mean, they're cheap. Sure. They're really inexpensive just to have. Very good staple shoe.
My mom has like 11 colorways of the low top Converse. So
really,
she is one. She's got the rainbow set. So I know that they are reliable.
That's how I am about the old school Vans. I love the old school Vans. I have a pair of black ones. I have a pair of the Yacht Club ones. Yep. I might either do a Converse splurge or Van splurge just for basic shoes. I mean, we've talked about this before to keep it short. I mean, it's nice having all these shoes, but in reality, I'm not going to wear half of them as the months go on. So I might just start trading in these and just going for more neutral colors, go with a lot more that I can just rock a variety of so they don't stink. I mean, really, it's that simple.
Fair enough.
All right, so moving in. The mailbag edition for episode 33, our Larry Bird episode. I totally forgot to mention that on the top of the episode. Mailbag. I put a question tool on my Instagram story to try and see what you all would want us to hear us talk about, and we got some good answers. Let's start with our boy Anthony Picano. Is it Picano? Picano,
I think.
Picano, but he's otherwise known as Tasty. Tasty, thank you. MLB being Dunzo, he said. MLB might be Dunzo. I think it's up to 17 players from the Marlins organization that tested positive for COVID. The Yankees-Phillies games were postponed again. You think MLB might be Dunzo?
I mean, we talked about this the last time. They came back quick. I mean, when you're taking risk, no bubble. When you're taking the risk, when you're taking the risk of let's test these guys and then allow them to play while the test results are coming back, what can you expect?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, what do you expect from this? You rushed everything back. I mean, if the NFL started in 2 weeks, if all of a sudden it was like no preseason, NFL starts August 8th. I mean, what do you think's going to happen?
I really wish they had a better plan in place. I mean, I really do.
I mean, it's unfortunate, but like you said, I mean, they already shortened the season a bunch. You've got outbreaks going galore, games getting delayed already. I mean, it's just tough to see them continuing. I mean, that's where the NFL's at right now. Obviously, you got players opting out, which, we'll talk about. But I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough for me to think MLB can keep going. I mean, truly, when that happens, a team has 20 guys. I mean, we're coming up on 20 people testing positive. I mean, they have to stop all operation. They have to separate. How are you going to do that with scheduling? They're 2 weeks off, no games, and they're going to have to catch up at the end.
I mean, 60 games already you're sitting there thinking that's, a third pretty much of their season, so they can do it. Now it's like, shoot, they may have to just play like 30 games. I mean, it sucks though, because I haven't been into baseball nearly as much as I had when I was a kid. And the other day when I was dashing, I had on the Yankees game on the radio when they were playing the Nationals. And I'm driving and I'm like, wow, I could really get back into MLB by listening on the radio while I dash. I almost bought an MLB radio subscription, and then I found it for free on my radio. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for Sirius XM. But yeah, that really stinks. And I hope it doesn't happen, but we will see. Our next one is from Hart Simpson, our guy. Thank you, Hart, for putting this on here for the question. Kyrie covering the WNBA salaries. This has not gotten talked about as much as it should. The WNBA came back, I believe, on Saturday, and they had their first game, the Liberty and Storm. Got to see Sabrina Ionescu, Sue Bird, Breanna Stewart. Very touching tribute to Breonna Taylor as well before tip-off. How awesome was this move by Kyrie?
I mean, I think Kyrie is one of those guys in the NBA that gets, a lot of criticism, and people are just skeptical of his thought process sometimes. The flat earth stuff. And he was one of the guys who was, outspoken about the return of the NBA and Black Lives Matter movement. And there's no point in playing. We have to bring light to these things. And I think him doing this is just another way that we see that, Kyrie might have some crazy thoughts, but his heart is always in the right place. And you see, he worked on that last shoe with his sister. They released all about women's power and these types of things, and he's going to give them to whoever wants them, and so many women's leagues and girls. I mean, Kyrie is one of those guys who has been this, and this isn't new for Kyrie. Kyrie's been supporting the WNBA. I mean, obviously there are a lot of other players. I don't want to take that away from them, but he's been doing this. He's very, very, very into supporting the WNBA, women's rights, getting them more pay. And when I saw that he donated $1.5 million, my immediate reaction, like in the moment, was like, I didn't know the exact numbers, but I'm thinking that's probably doubling team salary caps. Like that's probably what the WNBA. It's embarrassing, and by no means am I directing this at the women's players, but it is embarrassing the difference in pay. I mean, it's ridiculous. Me and Josh were looking it up yesterday. Josh, my NFL correspondent, who I mentioned every podcast, so we're going to get on soon for the NFL restart if it happens. But we were talking about, I mean, the highest paid players are making $250,000 a year. The best players. And if you want to sit here for 1 second and act, and you got these trolls and idiots on social media who are like, well, it should be, look how much work. Come on, bro. You ain't seen Sabrina Ionescu work then. You ain't seen Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi. I know Maya Moore stopped playing, but, I mean, Brittany Griner. Dude, she's dunking. What are you talking about? Go watch a game. I mean, if that's what you think, go watch a game. They'll cross any one of us up and beat us 21-0 in every single game. And you're talking about that? Come on, let's get real. And so my first thought was that. My second thought was, why does Kyrie have to do this? Look, what is the NBA's budget? What is the NBA's revenue? I know the NBA supports and they do partnerships and commercials, but how is it that a team salary cap is just over $1 million? How is that possible? How is that possible? And why is it only Kyrie? Why is it only Kyrie? There's dudes making $40-50 million. Let's get a group together and let's actually give the WNBA the financial support that it deserves. I mean, let's be quick. Don't get me started on the women's USA soccer team getting paid a ridiculously amount less than the men's soccer team who didn't qualify for the World Cup compared to the women's team who dominated the World Cup. I mean, what are we even talking about? This is a discussion you can't get into with me. I'll go crazy on anybody who argues it. But, I mean, what a cool move by Kyrie. And hopefully a start, right? Because a lot of these things, it just takes a spark. Obviously, pardon the pun with the Los Angeles Sparks. But, that's all it takes. All it takes is a little show like this. And we know what happens with NBA players. It's a brotherhood. It's a fraternity of guys. I think we're going to see more guys doing this, supporting them. And I think that's a beautiful thing because I think what's going on in the WNBA right now in terms of their salary caps and how much they're getting paid is absolutely ridiculous. So very cool by Kyrie. I love what he's doing. And I really do think and I hope a lot more guys follow suit.
You said everything that I was thinking of, so not even going to spend any more time on it. Thank you, Danny. As always, you hit the nail on the head. Next, my mom said to both of us, how much you love your mamas. I'm going to go ahead and take the reins on this one. You will not find a bigger mama's boy in the Southeast, in the United States, in the world than me right here. And Mom, if you're listening, if you're watching, which I'm guessing you will, you know how much I love you. Danny, I'm sure you love your mom just as much. But, yeah, how much I love my mama. Never, ever will be ashamed to say that. Biggest mama's boy, always the one that jumps at a hug whenever I can. My mom has always been there for me when it comes to supporting me, talking with me, just showing me how to live life. So a much needed tribute to our moms and all the moms out there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I mean, what else can I say? For me, I've always said, and this is kind of a funny thing, it's motivated me all the time, but I always used to say, because my mom didn't come with me to a lot of matches and tournaments when I was young, and she is super busy with the church, so a lot of that stuff happens on Saturdays and Sundays, so it's hard for her to come see the big matches. But I've said it a whole lot of times when I'm at Wingate. When my mom rolls up to that court, You ain't beating Danny Breezy. I can tell you that right now. You have to kill me. I've said you had to kill me to beat me at Wingate's courts, and only one guy has ever done that. 2-time national champion, KP Panu. Salute to my boy, KP. He's a beast. He beat me there in the third set, but I gave him a good fight. Went 3 sets, long match. But outside of that, you ain't beating me in front of my mama, baby. There's no way. There's something about when your mom's in the crowd watching you, bro. It's a
Oh my
different
gosh.
animal. And shout out to my dad. My dad's always there through and through.
Yes.
I fight my butt off for my dad too, and I know you do, and you appreciate your dad's support, and I appreciate your parents as well. I want to shout them out, just like I know you want to shout out my dad. And I don't know how many times you've met my mom. Probably not
Have
many.
not even met your mom, which I think is a shame.
You will meet her soon then. But shout out to our parents, man. They're our biggest supporters. They've been supporting us since day one through every endeavor that we've supported, or that we've tried to adventure through. Right. So shout out to them, love them. And to answer your question, Mama Sherelle, we love our mamas.
Mama's boys 1 and 2.
Oh yeah, through and through.
Next one, my good friend Chandler Hendricks. She said me. All right, well, Chandler is a junior at Wingate University. Chandler is on the women's soccer team. Her sister now plays in the NWSL for the Washington. Oh my gosh, the name is spacing me right now, but definitely the Washington team. I want to say the Spirit. I think that's it. She played actually for West Ham United overseas in England, so made the switch back to the United States. We may need to have Brooke on. She'd be a fantastic guest.
I wouldn't mind bringing Chandler on. I love talking to Chandler.
Right.
Talk about the girl who's enthusiastic, girl who works hard. I mean, a girl who's been on the damn boat at the lake basically every single day.
Chandler's got it made.
I mean, she's probably number one, top of my list. Girls that I'm jealous of. Yep. I mean, every day out there getting tan with goats. I mean, she's living the life that I don't even – it's crazy. She needs to have her own vlog. I mean, this girl's got goats climbing on her on the boat every day. She needs her own vlog. So shout out to Chan. Thank you for responding.
For
Love
sure.
her.
Shout out to her family as well. Miss Pam, yes. Mr. Todd, you guys are the bombs. Next question or next response from Jamie Bogle, another Wingate soccer representative. He said, the Washington football team. And it's funny not to laugh when you read that. I think that changing the Redskins name to whatever it's going to be, sure, but you didn't have a name in mind all these years of wanting to change it, and now you're just going to stick with a generic name like that. I think it's kind of embarrassing, but
I think it's very embarrassing.
We're not going to spend much time on that because there's nothing else to talk about.
What I do want to say, though, is I know there are people who responded to when we did mention the Washington team before who thought about they didn't need to change the Redskins. Shout out our guy Brandon Hunt. He responded directly. He's like, Redskins fan, Native American descent, they don't need to change the name. Hey, I respect his opinion way more than I respect a dude's opinion who's just a Washington Redskins fan who knows nothing about the history of the word or any of that. I can't respect that opinion because I've done research on Redskins and Native American culture. I know a little bit more, I think, than the average guy, but I do not know more than him. So I respect his opinion. But come on, to come out with the Washington football team, I just think that's their organization in a nutshell. Oh, we'd rather just leave it. So we're the laughingstock even more than you, sorry fans, already are in a division that's not exactly the strongest, yet you are always somehow the bottom of the barrel in that thing. I mean, come on. This is just – and obviously I don't want to get into it all, what's going on in the behind closed doors in that organization and front office right now. But I think finding a name for the team should be the least of their priorities right now. Let's get that situation handled, and then let's move on to play football after that.
And let's be real, the Dallas Cowboys, for once, are not the laughingstock of the NFC East. So, in a way, thanks.
And truthfully,
Washington.
Let's be real. I give some hate to the Cowboys. A lot of people do. They've never been the laughingstock. What the accident waiting to happen is fun. It's a fun thing. But they've never been the laughingstock. Let's be honest here. They're America's team. How can we call them the laughingstock?
I wish more people would think like that, but sadly they don't. Next from our guy – Sam Hyman, one of our biggest fans, one of my best friends, someone that influences both of us daily. He said the PLL for the Pro Lacrosse League. And to be honest, I haven't watched any action, but he did send me a clip that he actually got to edit. Sam's now working part-time with the PLL right now, so shout out to him. Are you going to check out anything, or is lacrosse just not your thing?
I mean, I'll check it out if it's on TV. You know me, I'm a big sports guy, biggest sports guy that you'll find me and you. So if I find it, I'll watch it. But I have a lot of other things that I watch that I got to be honest, I love my lacrosse guys. They're a little bit higher on my priority list of things to watch when we're talking about NBA, UFC, you know.
Very true.
But I'm going to find time. I need to learn more about it because I love watching. I love supporting our Wingate lacrosse team. They're beasts. Some of the guys are my favorite people on that team. And talk about the success that those guys have had. I mean, they were going to go for 4 straight this year. So obviously it's a shame they couldn't have had that class go 4 for 4, have rings on 4 fingers. But hey, that's what happens. But
what are you going to do?
Nice voice crack there. But yes, I will try and watch if I can find it just to see, maybe one of Sam's clips is going to going to come up. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
he sent me one. I'll forward it to you after that he edited and actually was a good clip. So hats off to Sam, as always. Ian Hickson, another one of our biggest fans, always sends me reviews. So I really appreciate him on every single podcast episode. So Ian, we thank you 100%. Very much so. He said, your thoughts on the hockey bubble and another league that's come out and has had 0 positive tests. And it makes you wonder, darn, why isn't the MLB in a bubble? And why isn't the NFL trying to go to a bubble? Because the NHL, 0 positive tests.
It's crazy. I mean, that at the end of the day, it's what you have to do to bring sports back. That's what you have to do. It's been proven. I mean, it's been proven time and time again. If you're not over in Europe in the Premier League and Serie A and stuff where they've controlled the virus on a level that we have not even imagined yet here, you have to do the bubble. Look at the UFC, look at the NBA, look at the success that they're having. When the MLB tries to do it, look at the lack of success that they're having. So at this point, there's a clear blueprint. If the NHL does the bubble the way that these other leagues have done it, we're going to get to see some hockey. And, I mean, shout out to our guy. Was it Nick before was telling us we need to watch a little bit more hockey? If it comes on, there ain't much competition for it right now. So it's going to be at the front of my head in terms of things to watch, and I got to find a team to support. But one of the only guys that I really stands out to me in the NHL is Patrick Kane. I love watching that guy. I think he was on, like, the Blackhawks before.
He's on the Chicago Blackhawks.
Blackhawks. Okay, so I know a little bit. I need to pick up a Patty Kane jersey. Big supporter of my guy. I say my guy. I've watched maybe 2 or 3 games of him play. But, you got to start somewhere, guys. You got to start somewhere. So if that comes back with 0 positive tests, I mean, not only am I going to be saluting their commissioner and the way they do things, I'm going to be watching some games.
Might be a newfound hockey fan in both of
Love
us
it.
if they keep it up. And I think
it.
one thing, too, we have a lot of similarities, but the differences we have are in our teams. If we both end up getting into hockey, let's find a team we can both root for, because now the Charlotte MLS, that's going to be a team we're going to have. True. But that is it. That's all we have we root for at the same. So we'll find a team. Last 2 questions come from your dad, the man, Steve Belcito. And they're probably are 2 of our, some of our best questions. Top 5 reasons that Wingate Athletics has won 13 straight Eccles Cups, in your opinion. Take the floor.
Hold on. Before we answer, can you repeat that one more time? How many times?
13.
13. So that's 13 consecutive years that Wingate has been the best sports team across the board.
Consecutive years, Danny. I wear a lot of Wingate gear. I'm not representing today, but in my heart, always blue and gold. Always.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what else can you say? I mean, for me, one thing that I always point to with my personal success and with our team success is the administration in the athletics department. Yes. I mean, I can only point. I mean, Mr. Poston, Michelle Cadigan, Hugh. I mean, we've got the best athletic directors, the best sports media, the best interviewer in Donnie Sherrill in athletic communications. I mean, we've got it all. I mean, to be honest, when I look at sports across the board, there are things to point at, like LR's football stadium. Man, I love it. I mean, that looks great. Obviously, Queens just built their new tennis facility, although I call that my tennis facility more so than theirs. That's a beautiful facility. Sorry, I had to do it.
Such a troll,
but
man.
I just think it's across the board. I truly do. And I mean this sincerely. I mean, everybody knows I like to joke around, talk a little crap about those teams who think they compete with us. But I just think across the board, we've got it. You look across the teams, they're always competing. I know a couple years ago, we had a season where every single team was in the top 3 or 4. Unreal. I mean, talk about consistency. Talk about just variety. We've got great coaches across. The coaches get along, and it's just hard work. When you walk through the Wingate facilities, that's the one thing that everybody pushes. Work hard. We might have the success, but I can tell you I've seen the way other teams practice. I've seen other teams up at 6 o'clock doing the sprints, doing the workouts. Football sometimes even before 6 o'clock. We put in the work, and it's a championship mentality that stretches past the teams. It stretches into your side of the athletics department with communications. I mean, when you have Sam, obviously the photographers and videographers we've had the last couple of years, highlight videos. I mean, come on. We're in the national spotlight for highlight videos. Hugh, regional sports information director. I mean, Coach Cadigan getting the awards every year. Mr. Poston. I mean, we're talking about
it's unreal.
A roster of people that is 100% sole focused on greatness, and not always being just the best at stuff, but putting in the ultimate effort. And I think at the end of the day, that's what Wingate's all about. Excellence, man.
Yep, you're right. I cannot say much more. Speaking that I have not been there as long as you have, but nearing my third year, I would say, yeah. I mean, top to bottom. The moment my first athletic event I worked was Johnson C. Smith football. I was PA guy my freshman year in August, blistering hot heat. Hot heat. Does that even make sense?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to go with it.
Blistering hot. I like it.
Walked into the press box, and I felt like I had known these people for my entire life. I mean, literally going down the line: Steve Poston, Michelle Cadigan, Corey Villas, Max Wolf, Courtney Callahan, Christian Hall, Nick Robinson, Trey Harrell, Hugh Patton, David Sherwood, Ryan Brown, Sam Hyman, everybody. I mean, Caitlin Devon, cannot forget Caitlin, the GOAT. I mean, you cannot go wrong.
And
with
and then obviously adding a little bit the guys who hold the cameras. I mean,
yeah,
Jules, Josh,
yes.
Elliot, the young guys. I think one's name is Brent
and Saul. Oh my God.
Those guys are beasts.
They are stars. They are stars. I cannot wait to be back whenever that time may be, to be able to be with them, whether it's 6 feet apart, whatever. Yeah, that administration does not get the love they deserve, and they get a lot of love, but they deserve 10 times more.
Yes.
What is this is another question from Steve, Danny's dad. What is your number one sporting event in the world that you'd like to attend? I'm going to say Game 7 of an NBA Finals. I don't think I could go wrong with that. I thought Super Bowl. I thought Final Four. But a Game 7, that is already – I know that Super Bowls and, everything, that's in history as well. But you think about in the past, Game 7s, I mean, those are the best two words in sports. So I'd say Game 7 of any finals. Particularly, can you imagine a normal finals this year in Milwaukee, Lakers coming to town, tied 3-3? Oh, my gosh. What would be? But it may happen in Orlando. We'll know. What about you?
Yeah, that's a good one. I mean, it's funny. You thought a little bit deeper than me. I didn't even think about game. My first thought was games that, like, I know you could buy a ticket to today.
True.
Whereas, like, obviously a Game 7, you kind of have to see that it gets to Game 7. But imagine having that ticket. I mean, that makes it even more special. That's the golden ticket, because it's not like that ticket was always there. Like, that ticket literally gets sold after Game 6 is completed. I mean, that's how special that is. But for me, seeing that my two favorite sports truly to watch right now across the board, not just playoff time, like always, is soccer and UFC. I mean, you know me. I watch every single UFC event. And it's not just UFC. Bellator, ONE FC, like PFL. I watch the kickboxing, Glory. I watch jiu-jitsu. I watch all of it. I love it, man. I can't wait to get in the gym and start training myself. So there are two. I mean, these are split right down the middle. I mean, a McGregor fight. Oh. Everybody who said it, and the one that's crazy, and if you haven't watched this, Donnie, I beg you, go back and watch UFC 205 when he became the champ in MSG. First card in Madison Square Garden for UFC. I mean, the whole broadcast, 3 hours.
Phenomenal.
They're spanning the crowd, and you see A-list. I mean, Tom Cruise, like these types of guys sitting behind, like third row.
You may get some sweat flying out.
I mean, but I'm saying third row, like they're not first row. Like you're getting the richest people in the world coming to watch. You're getting the Floyd Mayweather. I mean, Floyd wasn't there, but people along those lines. Odell Beckham was sitting front row. I mean, Odell Beckham never been to a fight before that, but he even said it. I'm not missing Conor McGregor. So it would be a McGregor fight, or man, there's just games that for me I feel the power of them, and the number one I feel is the World Cup final. Every time I watch the World Cup final.
That's a good one.
It's special, man. The crowds are the craziest. The passion that the guys play with. I say it's even more passion than they do for like a Champions League final, because you just see that it's for their country.
Ooh, that's another good one.
Champions League final would be amazing. Also, I completely agree. But a World Cup final, I just feel that the passion behind that would be amazing. So for me, it would be a Conor McGregor fight. Would probably inch in number one just to be a part of that, because they're so rare. You know, the World Cup happens every year. McGregor only going to fight for a couple of years, so I'd have to probably lean towards a McGregor fight, but the World Cup final would be a very, very close second. And I would not mind joining you at a Game 7 either. So if we end up getting these tickets, I better be the first guy you call, because I know you're going to be the first guy I call.
Well, likewise. I was going to say, if you end up getting to go to any country that hosts the World Cup and you get to go to the final,
well, it's coming here. It's coming here 2026?
Oh.
No, 2020.
No, is it 2020?
2024?
Okay, let's see.
The US?
Let's go back a little bit. It'd be 2026.
2026. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Had to do some,
2026. Okay.
you know,
Okay.
multiple
Olympics
before.
is 2024.
Right. That's going to do it for our mailbag edition. And I think this is going to be something we do for every episode moving forward.
Love it.
Putting Instagram stories out just to get your all's perspective and take on what you want us to talk about. Danny, close us off with your quote.
Yes, sir. So I'll go quickly through. I know we've been rolling here. Thank everybody who listens, who gets to this point in the podcast. But my quote's it's a pretty short quote. It comes from Paul Chek, who's a holistic wellness guy, kinesiologist, stress management expert. I actually just had his book come in today, How to Eat, Move, and Live Healthy. So I think it's called Eat, Move, and Be Healthy. Sorry, or something like that. Eat, Live. One of those things. Just being healthy. It's a book about
Be healthy, right?
It's a book that people have raved about, and it comes from one of my favorite fighters. I heard it on his podcast, Sean O'Malley, who's one of the most entertaining fighters right now. He talked about his coach Tim Welch, who I actually tweeted the quote, and Tim Welch responded to me and said it's a quote from Paul Chek. So I was corrected by Coach Welch, but that quote is, and we had talked about this just talking on the phone. That's why I brought this quote up. I thought it was effective. It's something we talked about. The quote is, "Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power." It's short and sweet, but I think it hits exactly where you need it to, because one thing we always talk about, and when we're talking in conversation and whatever is, we're talking about fitness and health and whatever, I can tell you what the healthiest diet is. I can tell you the benefits of exercise. I can tell you the benefits of going to sleep earlier, drinking more water. I can tell you any of this. And a doctor can tell you this. A physical therapist can tell you this. A teacher can tell you things. But if you don't apply those techniques, strategies, wisdom into your own personal life, what good are they? And that's just the truth. If I tell you, hey, Donnie, if you walk a mile a day, it's going to lower your blood pressure, your heart rate's going to go down, fat's going to go down, metabolism's going to go up. And you're like, man, that sounds great. And you never wake up and go walk. What did that knowledge do for you except cloud your brain? I mean, that's all it did. So I think that's very important that we remember all this stuff that's going around, and whether that be about Black Lives Matter, supporting communities, women's rights, equality, any of these things, right? Applied knowledge is power, especially in a pandemic right now when we don't have much knowledge on what's going on. But what little knowledge you do have, apply that knowledge. And that kind of leads into what we were talking about all the time is, guys, wear your masks. I don't want to make this a political show, but wear a mask. It's not that hard. We know that it helps. Apply that knowledge to your life, and let's get back to doing things on a normal pace. So shout out Paul Chek. Shout out to that short and sweet quote. I'll repeat it for you guys. Knowledge isn't power. Applied knowledge is power.
That's beautiful. I mean, you don't really think about the second part of that because you think, oh yeah, knowledge, I know, so it's good. But you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. Applying that knowledge is huge, especially right now when there's so much knowledge being thrown at you. But being able to decipher between right and wrong is life-changing, really, at this point.
Absolutely.
That's going to do it. Larry Bird, episode number 33 of Kicking It with Breezy and Don C is in the books. NBA's back. The Lakers will be playing. The Bucks will be playing. Giannis is going to win his MVP. I mean, I
don't disagree. Yeah, I know you're waiting for me to disagree. I can't disagree. I've given it up.
Yes.
Giannis is going to be back-to-back MVP. And deserved. Let me be the first one to say deserved.
Thank you. All right, that's going to do it. Thanks again for checking us out. Check us out on all podcast platforms everywhere and YouTube. Peace.